For joining us for KVUE's special 2024 election night coverage.
Yeah, we're continuing to track the results across the Austin area and the state of Texas.
We're going to start with how Texas has voted in the presidential election tonight. Of course, that has been called for the state of Texas. So let's get right to it, Ashley. Let's get right to it.
I'll do it.
Ashley.
I'll type it. I'll tap it for you. We're going to go to Texas. We want to talk about that presidential election, but we're going to talk about it in just a minute. So the first things first is that in the presidential election, Texas has been called for former President Donald Trump.
That's right, 56.7% of the vote, 86% reporting, so still a significant number of votes out, but they feel comfortable that the lead is enough that Donald Trump will win. You can see in 2020 he won Texas as well. Did better this time.
Indeed.
He increased his numbers this time.
He did, and when we look at where those increases happen, one of the interesting districts, if we zoom into our area, Brian, is if we look at what happened in Williamson County, you can see that within the county, it went red this election. But if we go back to 2020, Williamson County was blue.
President Biden got a slim victory there and, of course, won the presidency, didn't win Texas. But in 2024, Williamson County voted Republican.
Yeah, if we zoom all the way back out to look at Texas as a whole and we go back to 2020, Brian, one of the things that I want you, let's zoom out, work with me. Totals, there we go. Got to get it together. If we look at 2020, we want to look at the total number of votes. That's something that I want to look at. If you tap the top, let's go to the top, make it easy for ourselves, right? So the total number of people who voted in 2020, we had 11.3 million. Mm-hmm. We're almost there, right? In 2024.
10 million so far.
We're getting there with 86% of the vote.
More votes this year than 4 years ago, I think.
Indeed, indeed.
Safely say.
It is interesting to see how Texas is playing out. And one of the things that we do want to look at when we go to the electoral map is that compared to 2020, when Texas had 38 electoral college votes, we now have 40 because of how much we grew in the census.
That's 38 members of Congress and 2 senators. That's how you get to 40. They've added a couple of seats in the Congress, and now Texas with 40 electoral votes. But you can see this is how the AP is seeing it right now. 209 to 230. You got to get to 270. This area for Kamala Harris is going to be so important tonight.
It's critical.
As they count those votes in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Georgia's leaning Republican right now. Nevada and Arizona, of course, wild cards. As you can see, Arizona leading Republican. Nothing in Nevada just yet. I'm curious to see how that plays out. Of course, if the former president wins Pennsylvania and wins Georgia, the race is pretty much in the bag for him. But we're going to wait and see how those play out.
And as of right now, when we're talking about this, it is leaning red there. Let's go back to the state of Texas and talk about the other big race that was on top of mind for so many people, and that was the race for the U.S. Senate. U.S. Senator Ted Cruz victorious over Congressman Colin Allred.
That's right, 53.9, nearly 54% of the vote. That's 5.4 million of 10 million. If you could take a look back 6 years ago when he won the seat the last time, 8.3 million total votes. So again, a pretty good turnout in the state of Texas. Senator Ted Cruz looking like he's going to carry once again. Of course, it's already been called by the Associated Press. Speaking of Ted Cruz, our own Adam Bennett is in Houston tonight to check out that party. It was quite a party with Senator Cruz.
Indeed,
tonight.
it was. Things have cleared out now, Adam. Talk to us about how the night went.
For the most part, you can still hear the music going behind me, but Senator Cruz, he left within the last hour, and most of his supporters have to. Media is packing up as well, but I will tell you, for the supporters that are left here in this downtown Houston hotel ballroom, whenever they see this race mentioned on the TV screens or they see that former President Trump has been projected to win another state, you can hear the cheers erupt over the music that's playing, even as loud as it is. Now, about a couple hours ago, we saw Senator Cruz arrive here for his speech. It ended up being his victory speech. He talked for about 20 minutes, joined by family, several Republican state lawmakers, and the Democrat district attorney here in Houston behind him on stage. He thanked them as well as his supporters. He called tonight an incredible night and, a quote, a huge victory here in Texas. And here's a little bit more about what he had to say.
And I want to thank every Texan across our great state who has stood with us in this fight, who worked and who fought for Texas. I want to congratulate Colin Allred on a hard-fought campaign. And I want to say to all of those who didn't support me, you have my word that I will fight for you, for your jobs, for your safety, and for your constitutional rights.
Now, during that speech, Cruz also singled out what he called incredible support from Hispanic voters. He says that what he saw tonight signals a generational shift, in his words, in South Texas. He pledged to continue focusing on border security during his next term. That was a huge issue during this campaign. He also talked about the importance of energy independence. He promised to continue fracking and to create what he calls equality of opportunity. He did not speak to reporters before leaving the ballroom, but he did spend some time meeting with supporters and taking a lot of photos with folks here. Quita.
All right, thank you so much, Adam. And you know what? Let's take a look at some of our local election results. And one of the big races people have been keeping an eye on tonight, the race for Austin mayor. As the incumbent mayor, Kirk Watson, faces 4 challengers. And as you can see, with 18% of the precincts reporting tonight, Kirk Watson has a sizable lead over his 4 opponents with 51% of the vote. And KVUE senior reporter Tony Plohetsky, he is joining us now from Austin Mayor Kirk Watson's watch party, where Watson actually spoke a little bit earlier tonight. And Tony, how happy was he this evening?
Quita, well, they've called it a night at this point here. The party broke up about an hour ago, but before it did, Kirk Watson was very cautious. He did not claim victory in addressing dozens, more than 100, maybe several hundred supporters here tonight, but he did strike a tone of something of an acceptance speech. He talked about the work that he had done over the past 2 years as Austin's mayor, tackling issues such as public safety, housing, affordability, and saying that now that he is likely to receive another term, he can continue that work that he set out to do. But Quita, going back in time, this race was interesting for a number of reasons. One of the main reasons is that it is the first time since a 2021 measure that Austin voters approved, Proposition D, that Austin has had its mayoral election timed at the same time as a presidential election. That was important because there was a question going into the race tonight whether or not that could somehow shake up the electorate, whether or not it would draw voters who maybe did not previously participate in elections, and whether or not a person like Kirk Watson, who has a long history, a long political career, whether or not they would support him or some of the other candidates, one of the 4 other candidates. But again, tonight, as those election returns came in, clearly Kirk Watson has a sizable margin, but at the same time also a discussion about whether or not he would keep that more than 50% to avoid a runoff. But again, as the night wears on here, it does look like that is where he is as the votes continue to be counted. Again, Kirk Watson not totally claiming victory, but definitely striking a victorious tone here tonight.
All right, our Tony Plohetsky at Kirk Watson's watch party, which has now ended for the evening. Tony, thank you so much. All right, let's take a look at some of the other local election results people have been keeping an eye on tonight. Let's look at Prop A for Travis County. That's aimed at making child care more affordable and available for low-income families. And as you can see from the results, with 43% of the precincts reporting tonight, 60% of the voters are for that proposition, 40% are against it. Now, there's also a Prop A for Austin ISD. That would raise an extra $171 million per year through a tax hike. With 43% of the precincts reporting in Austin, Travis County, 59% are for that proposition and 41% are against it. And switching gears to the race for Travis County District Attorney, with incumbent Jose Garza going up against Republican challenger Daniel Betts. 68% of voters have gone for Garza compared to challenger Betts. And with Austin City Council District 2, which covers most of southeast Austin, 86% for incumbent Vanessa Fuentes. For City Council District 4, which covers parts of North and Central Austin, Jose Chito Vela, the incumbent, has 60% of the vote right now, with 43% of precincts reporting. City Council District 6, that covers Northwest Austin. Now incumbent Mackenzie Kelly, she seems to be lagging behind her challenger, Krista Lane. Kelly with 48% and Lane with 52%. In the City Council District 7 race, that covers primarily covers Northwest and North Austin, you can see that Mike Siegel, 41% of the vote against his 5 challengers. And City Council District 10, that's the part of town that covers West Austin. Mark Duchin has 51% of the vote, and Ashika Ganguly has 49% of the vote. All right, it looks like that is all of the that is all of the results that we're going to have for right now. And just stay with us. I think we're actually going to go back to Ashley and Brian right now. They've got more to tell us.
We do want to run through some of those other races that we wanted to take a look at. And particularly when we look at our congressional districts, Brian, it was a strong night for incumbents across Central Texas.
That's kind of how they draw it up. District 10, Michael McCall's district, a strong victory again tonight. They've called it for him. Nearly 64% of the vote, more than 66% for Pete Sessions. Again, incumbent success tonight.
Right, and that
the theme of the night.
That's why the primaries are so important in Texas,
right,
because of how the districts are drawn. When we look at Congressional District 21, Chip Roy with a victory with nearly 62% of the vote. Going over to District 27, Congressman Cloud also winning with about 67% of the vote tonight.
District 31, Judge John Carter, the incumbent, nearly 65% of the vote. Let me just hang on. Let me just take a look back and see how. Oh, that's right. He ran unopposed in 2022. Just a significant victory, nearly 100,000 votes more than his challenger.
Yeah, you have to go back to 2018 to find a race that was tight for him with MJ Hagar. And even then, he was able to squeeze out a victory. That was probably the closest one he's had as of late. District 35 has long been a Democratic district, and it stayed that way tonight.
Greg Casar, the incumbent, 67.4%, 81,000 votes more than his challenger in District 35. That is a significant win. A very strange district, but a significant win. And not strange in people, strange in the way it's drawn.
He means the way that it's drawn. And this is one of those districts, if you remember, this was Congressman Lloyd Doggett's district, and it changed. Right. It used to be a district that was Austin, and then it kind of shifted east, and then all of a sudden it started shifting south, but then it still had some San Antonio. Some might say the Democrats were packed into this district.
Some might say
that's how gerrymandering works. All right. Yep. But 37, because of the population booms that Texas saw in the 2020 census, we got a new congressional district. This was one of it. And Congressman Doggett has represented it for 2 years now since it was created. That's right. District 37 is a significant part of Austin, and Travis County there goes to Lloyd Doggett with 75% of the vote, a significant win for the incumbent. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the state house races in our area, starting with House District 17, which encompasses parts of Caldwell County and some of the other counties in our area over here. Well, Milam County isn't technically in our area. It's right on the edge. It's right on the edge. We like them, though. We do like you in Milam County. And it is an overwhelming win for Representative Stan Gerk. Not talking about a huge number of votes, but yeah, I mean, 82% of anything is pretty good. That's a solid B. I know that from college, my college days. Great. Right? Good 82%. Job. Good job. Indeed, it is. Truxclair, also an incumbent in District 19, a significant showing. That's pretty impressive. More than 52,000 vote lead, and that's almost 89% of the vote. So yes. But again, not necessarily surprising. Some may be surprised when you start to look at this part of like West Austin, Lake Travis and Lakeway, but it is a solid red district. Going over to House District 20, which includes parts of Georgetown, and the incumbent State Representative Terry Wilson with a strong lead tonight. That's right. You got Liberty Hill in there as well. Almost 60% of the vote for Mr. Wilson. Representative Wilson, as the incumbent, is looking to go back to the State House as the legislative session actually brings
starts up in just a few months from now. I know you're looking forward to that.
January. It'll be here before we know it, right? Ready or not, here it comes. Aaron Zwiener, State Representative Aaron Zwiener, holding on to her district in Hayes County there. If we go over to 46, this is just such a huge, I'm so surprised that we have not seen a check mark from the AP on this, because I don't think you can come back from 36,000 votes behind, which is what State Representative Cheryl Cole is carrying in this district.
Yeah, Nikki Kosic, I'm not sure, 18,000 votes. She's 36,000 behind, so I don't know why they haven't called that one yet.
Yeah.
Maybe they just haven't gotten around to it yet.
They might be lagging behind, because we're seeing big numbers. I mean, you're seeing more of a lead in this race than you are for State Representative Vicki Goodwin's race, which has been called in her favor.
That's right. West Austin, Bee Cave, that area, 61% for the incumbent to go back to the State House of Representatives.
Now, this was going to be sort of the race that people were watching, the race that people were a bit more curious about, and that's State Representative Caroline Harris Davila, who was seeing a challenge. And part of the reason why people were looking at this race is because how populations are changing, right? As folks are being priced out of Austin, they're moving into Hutto. They're moving into some of these areas, parts of Georgetown, where all these new neighborhoods are popping up, right? And typically when we see people leave the city and go to suburbs, they tend to change the vote and vote a little more blue. If we go back to 2020 and look how the race went here, so she actually had a stronger performance, right, in this year compared to last year.
Look at the vote difference, 77,000 2 years ago, 101,000 with still 13% to be counted. So again, great turnout.
Yes.
Great turnout in Williamson County, which is this significant District 52.
If we go on over to 53, this is an interesting district because it's a sliver of our area, right, in this district. But this was held by State Representative Andrew Murr. You may recall that Andrew Murr was the lead in the impeachment, in the House impeachment of Attorney General Ken Paxton. After that happened, and I think after it played out with in Attorney General Paxton's favor.
There was some clear division in the Republican Party.
Absolutely. Still is clear division in the Republican Party. He overwhelmingly won back then, but decided not to seek re-election. And Joe Herrera tried again, but this is a red district.
Wes Verdell is going to be the representative for District 53 in January.
Going down to 73, State Representative Carrie Isaac has solidly held on to her district in this election.
Part of Hayes County, part of Comal County in that district.
And if we go back up to 136 in the Round Rock area, we bounce all around with the numbers for our area. But State Representative John Busey going to be back in Austin this January.
That's clearly a Democratic district. As we take a trip back 2 years ago, you could see very similar numbers to the way it turned out for John Busey, the incumbent in District 136.
When we talk about the state Senate, so State Senator Sarah Eckhart, who represents Travis County, ran unopposed, so obviously she wins. And the other race is for State Senator Donna Campbell. Ignore these numbers. This race is called, and it was called 64% to 36% for State Senator Donna Campbell. So we actually have it. We want to show it to you. We're going to show it to you this way.
I like my drawing better, to be quite honest, but hey, whatever.
Of course you do, and that's fair, but I think this one looks better.
309,497. I can put that up here.
That's okay.
09497.
This is what happened. The 492,
Boom.
Is that your 7?
That's a 7.
Are you sure you got to be
I think I've got them all in there.
in college?
Watch
Okay.
this. Poof.
And it's gone.
It's gone.
All right, so that's a look at overall how Texas performed, Central Texas specifically performed for election night. We thank you guys so much for watching KVUE's coverage of the 2024 election results.
We'll have more live results, Wednesday morning on KVUE News Daybreak, and you can watch anytime on KVUE Plus. Brian, where can you find our streaming app?
Well, you know, Quita, it's on Roku, it's on Fire TV, it's on Apple TV, and best of all, it is free for everyone. Thanks for joining us for our special election coverage here on KVUE Plus. Have a fantastic night.
ABC News also projects